Okay guys, I wanted to make this video to help people that may have a similar situation get a jump start and aid them to be able to figure out how to solve a couple problems with a TV that's in the corner. Now in my situation, the photo that I have in the beginning of this video that I'm going to insert in there was the way that this house was set up initially. And this is a built-in fireplace, and they had, as you can see in that initial photo, they had sidebars that went up along the wall, and then there was a strip across the top, similar to what's above the door there that I'm showing you now, that has like the rope molding on. Anyway, that was up above the TV. And they actually had pieces in here that were shelves initially. So this house was built in 2002, and it was set up for like maybe a 34-inch TV. And I initially removed those shelves, and that's how I was able to come up with what you saw in the first video, which was the first picture that I inserted at the beginning of this video. That's a 55-inch, and I had to basically shoehorn that thing in from the sides. There was only about 1/4 of an inch on each side. Now there was ample room at the top and the bottom, but regardless, I wanted to get a larger TV, and I wanted to go with a 75-inch, and that's what this is. And basically I wanted to fill that whole spot, so I ripped off, you know, the wood that was on each side and the top bar. And you can see from down below there where there isn't any paint, that's what was where that sidebar went up, and there on the other side as well. So my problem I had, the biggest problem I had with the 55-inch was that when you wanted to get behind it, to unplug it, to reboot it, to reboot the cable modem or the Wi-Fi, which was all behind it, it's very difficult to get to, and you have to kind of slide the TV, and then you're worried that the TV is going to fall off. There's just not a lot of room in a corner setup like that. So I wanted to still use that corner setup, and I wanted to utilize all the space, so I went with the 75-inch. I measured it up, and that basically, with this particular setup, you can see I've got about 4 or 5 inches right here and across. So I didn't want it hanging out over the fireplace. Obviously you could go with a smaller TV, and then you could actually have it go back. And I have a little bit of a tilt, probably about an 8 or 10 degree tilt on the side. So you can see that as it goes up, it goes away from the wall, but that gives it a much better view without glare and stuff when you're setting down in the rest of the room. So I bought an articulating, I researched this a lot. I couldn't find a lot of YouTube videos that cover this. Actually, none in this particular scenario. So I ended up buying a articulating wall mount that's good for 110 pound. And it actually extends, I believe, 28 inches out from the wall. And that's what's required with this size TV to be able to get this thing out of the way to access my cable modem and router. So I'm going to stop this video here, and then I'm going to roll this out because I don't have a good way to hold this while I'm doing it, and I want to get 2 hands on it. So I'm going to show you how this thing pulls out away from the wall. Okay guys, that's with me pulling it out away from the wall, and you can see if you had to do that, and try to get somebody to hold that while you work on your modem and stuff, it is one heck of a job. So with the articulating arm, it allows me to do that, and it looks like it's sloping down there, but I guess that's just the geometry of the arms. Anyway, this allows me to get back in here, and you can see I'm going to repaint all this. That's another reason I'm redoing the living room. This is all getting painted like a gray. So in the back, from here to the wall, I've got probably about 15, 16 inches, and I can turn that TV that far and basically get to everything. And there you can see where I have the arm mounted. Okay. Now this modem and the Wi-Fi, The TV box is actually going to set out here near the edge. I'm going to raise this up, just by those brackets. I can easily raise those up. I'm going to raise them up probably about 3/4 of an inch. I thought I had it up high enough to be able to clear this and my sound bar that was sitting in the front. I took it off, but it was about 1/4 inch too low. So I got to raise that up a little bit. I'm going to do that here shortly. This wall bracket, as you can see, it could go either way. You could flip that over, and you could, put it on various studs. This house has 2x6 wall construction on the outside wall, and that's the outside wall. That's why I chose to go with that wall. But I could have went with this one as well. 2x4s would be sufficient. So I'm going to walk around here to the back and just tilt this out. And there you can see, I have all this room, a very large guy can get in here and work on stuff. So I'm not going to go over how this all mounts. This is basic stuff. If you can't figure that out yourself with the directions, then you probably shouldn't be doing a job like this. Anyway, this gets mounted with 4 lag bolts, and I believe those are, 5/16 diameter lag bolts. They're massive. So you got to hit the center of the stud, and I always use a stud finder. I have a very good one that over the years I've hung on to, but I always use a finishing nail, like a long finishing nail, a couple inches long, and once I mark it off on the wall, I go through and I do a series of holes, and I can't really, I think I covered them up. Oh, here you can see some right here. I just move over like 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch at a time till I actually slip off the edge of the stud. And that way you know exactly where it's at, and then try to pick the middle. Now this particular bracket that on this thing, it's 4/16 inch, but you have to have it out the whole way. It's really hard to see in here. Hold on a sec. Let me grab a light. Okay, I'm back. I got a light. And what I was going to say is this particular bracket with the slots that it has in it, when you put those lag bolts the whole way out on the very end, you can just barely get the 16 inch. They should have made that a little longer. I saw somebody complain about that in the reviews on this, and I thought, well, they must not have measured right, but they did. Now, you'll see mine are setting in. My bolts, you can see a little bit of the color of the wall. However, and the same with the other side, however, I had a double stud over here. So I was able, and the second stud was actually closer than 16 inches on center. The outside one was 16 inch. So I had plenty of meat there. So I just moved them into the center of the slot. It worked out great. If you don't have that, if you got 16 inches, then you probably should, when you're drilling the holes in the wall for these big lag bolts, you don't want to just run them in the 2x4 or 2x6, because you can split them, even if you get them in the center, because they are massive. You probably want to slope that drill a little bit, maybe on about a 10 degree to catch that 2x4 so that it's not working its way toward the inside. So anyway, I drew a lot of marks on the wall where the studs went to try to figure this out, because I wasn't sure if I wanted this arm here, in here, or here. So I ended up with it out here, and with this 75 inch, what I did, instead of putting this big TV on to see whether it was going to work, I got a 2x4, and I made it the exact length of the TV, and I mounted it to this. And that way I could swing it around and see whether I was going to be able to get it in position, and then also how much room it would give me when I articulated the arm out. So it looked like it was going to work out, and it did, so I'm pleased with that. But they do make an arm. This particular company makes an arm, I think this one's 27, I think, inches roughly from the wall out to here when it's straight. I think they make one that's around 40 inches or 42 inches, which would be massive. I didn't need that, so I thought if this didn't work, I would have to go with that. But this worked out pretty well, and it was a lot cheaper. I got this one on Amazon for like $75. I'm going to walk out here and just show you the arm that I used. So in case any of you guys want to try to do the same thing, you'll have that information. So this is a Pearl Smith, full motion. And as you can see, it says 110 pound. I wouldn't want to have 110 pound on it. But that's just me. My TV weighs, I believe, 48 pound. There's the barcode with all the information. So, and as I said, I got that from Amazon. And they do give you instructions here. And then one thing I saw in the instruction booklet, you know, if you take your time and do this, because you don't want to rush this type of job. You don't want that TV ending up on the ground. So they do give you this particular information, which shows you two different locations, the bracket on this side and then the bracket on the other side of the wall. And they give you a little bit of information there, but I think the best thing to do is actually do as I did. Put it roughly where you want it. I laid it down on the top of the fireplace and then just held it there and then extended the arm. It was a little stiff to do it that way because the arms are stiff. But then I was able to, you know, once I got that 2x4 on, you could get somebody to help you, somebody to hold it against the wall, and then move your 2x4 around, see whether you got access like you need it. So that's what I ended up doing. This all has to be painted, and I'm going to put, you know, this piece that I have that I took off, I'm actually going to put that across the top to beautify this up, and this all gets, you know, cleaned up and painted. This is all getting painted bright white. But for this video, I just wanted to help people that may be struggling with how to deal with a situation like that and be able to access your media boxes. So that's what I did. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe. Have a good one. All right, guys, I went ahead and raised the TV up about an inch, and that's given me enough clearance for my sound bar for it to clear, as well as the Comcast box, which allows the infrared sensors to be able to be activated with the remote very easily, because they're, you know, at like seat height, they're a little bit better. So that's what I ended up with. Now all I have to do is sand and clean it up and repaint back in there. You know, we're changing the color to a light gray. You can see the slope there. You can see the access to the box, and you got about probably a ½ inch there clearance, and a little bit more on the sound bar, like 3/4 of an inch, but it doesn't expose, like, you know, you can't see the wires and stuff in the back, which I have cleaned those up a little bit. Anyway, that's what I ended up with. I wanted to show you that at the end of the video. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section. Thanks.